Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Jen and this is your weekly astrology where I take the transits that are happening in the sky and weave them into new psychology and neuroscience research. And then we usually close with some sort of spell or ritual to kind of anchor in the energy of the week. This week, I really want to focus on desire, the psychology behind desire. The transits this week really highlight desire and manifestation. So I'll get a little bit into that. I'll get into a psychology practice on manifestation and what just genuinely works for me. So here's what we're kind of working with this week. Mars is still in Pisces, just barely at 29 degrees at the beginning of this week, and it's making a sextile to Uranus at 29 degrees on April 8th. So both planets at the very last degree. That is very, very invigorating energy. On April 9th, Mars moves into Aries, and with Saturn and Neptune and the Sun already there, the Aries pileup that we have been anticipating is officially here. Mercury will be joining all of them next week as well, and Chiron has been in Aries since 2018. So this is just really interesting to witness such a concentrated amount of energy in Aries. We also have Lilith in the mix this week, and Venus is home now in Taurus. So it's just really beautiful, sensual energy that is in the air this week. I absolutely love the astrology this week. But with all of this fire energy, it is really making me want to tell you to own your desires this week. We are done people pleasing. We are done with the social conditioning or what's trending. It is time to do you the way you want to do you. Okay, let's get into it. So let's start with what's happening on April 8th. Mars is at 29 degrees Pisces, forming a sextile to Uranus at 29 degrees Taurus. I want to sit with the 29 degrees for a moment. This is kind of crazy. 29 degrees is called the anaretic degree in astrology. It is the last degree of a sign before everything resets and it moves into a new sign. And when you have two planets sitting there at the same time, both at kind of the edge of their seat, this is very, very exciting energy. It's like, you know what it reminds me of? This is very Taurus too. When you're at a restaurant and you order your food and you're kind of waiting around and you kind of look to the side and you see your server walking over with your meal and you just get this like flood of excitement because you're about to eat really good food. That's what it feels like. Pisces rules the subconscious, so it is the part of you that processes and holds and knows things that you probably haven't consciously acknowledged yet. Mars moving through Pisces has kind of activated that space for a lot of us, stirring up things that are underneath the surface and bringing some energy to those desires that have quietly been living in the depth of our mind. And Uranus and Taurus is the human experience in the most physical form. It is the juice of a piece of a fruit on a warm afternoon, or just a warm bubble bath after a long day, and your body just starts to fully relax. It's golden hour. It is that specific pleasure of a morning that just entirely belongs to you. It is just such beautiful energy. Taurus is the body as a site of knowing, of sensing, our five senses. It is just very receiving energy. So when Mars at 29 degrees Pisces, all of that subconscious underwater desire, makes a sextile to Uranus and Taurus, something unexpected surfaces. So what has been living in your subconscious starts to kind of push upwards towards the physical, towards the sensory. And there is psychology research about this that I want to speak on that directly ties into this Mars sextile Uranus transit. So studies on what's called the forbidden fruit effect show desire actually intensifies the more we push it into our shadow. The more something that has been restricted or suppressed or deemed off limits, a little taboo, either by society, by the people around us, friends, family, or even yourself, even the story that you've been telling yourself of who you should be, right? The more all of that happens, the more psychic energy gathers around that desire. The wanting gets a lot louder and a lot more charged. So Pisces, ruling the subconscious, makes this transit even sharper, because desire that lives in your subconscious, no matter what, is always going to find a way through and up. And unfortunately, at times, it will actually show up very distorted the more we suppress it. So I always say it's very unhealthy for our hearts and our mind to suppress any type of emotion, but especially desire. This transit is bringing something that is underneath the surface to the surface. So just really pay attention to that and allow it to come through. And then we have Lilith in the mix this week as well. So she is currently in Sagittarius, and she is making a quincunx to Venus in Taurus. A quincunx is an aspect where two planets are 150 degrees apart. So it often is suggesting a need for a slight adjustment, and it could be kind of this vulnerable feeling. For those who aren't familiar, Lilith in astrology represents the part of you that refuses to be tamed, the desire that just never really asked for permission in the first place. In mythology, Lilith was the very first woman before Eve. And she was never cast out of the garden like our society tries to say. She left willingly because she refused to submit. She chose exile over suppression. Lilith in Sagittarius is the part of you that wants to roam and express yourself, that refuses to be contained by expectation, by anyone else's definition of what's appropriate, to want in this world. Sagittarius is the sign of freedom, of truth-seeking, of expansion beyond its borders. Lilith here is desire that wants to be completely uncategorized, untamed by rules, including the ones that you might have made for yourself. And she's in this quincunx with Venus, who is home right now in Taurus. Venus in Taurus is one of the most embodied placements in the zodiac. This is pleasure that lives in the physical world, in the sensory of details of just being alive in a body on this planet, on Earth. And this kind of wrinkle of energy between them is that there can be a real vulnerability around fully allowing yourself to be sensual, to be in your body, to receive pleasure without immediately needing to move on with your day or make it mean something. Lilith in Sagittarius wants desire to be free and wide open, and Venus in Taurus wants it to be felt deeply. This quincunx asks that these two things kind of meet and find each other. And that could feel a little uncomfortable. And the ancient Egyptians understood something about this conversation that I think is largely forgotten in today's society. They didn't treat desire as something to be managed or justified. Desire was just so sacred to them. Hathor, which is the goddess of love and beauty, music, sensuality, had priestesses who performed rituals specifically honoring the life-giving power of sensual and erotic energy. They understood that a person in full contact with their wanting, with their desire, was a person connected to something much larger than themselves. They also, by the way, were using position of celestial bodies to time their most intimate moments. So astrology and desire, they just always understood that these were in the same conversation, which is amazing. So this week is an invitation to allow yourself to fully feel the pleasures of your current life without the shame and without the overthinking, without the worry of the future or what you have to get done today, next week, whatever. Lilith is bumping into Venus only to say it's okay to feel freedom in your life right now. Even if that freedom is 5 minutes alone in your car before you have to walk into work. There are just so many little tiny moments where we can create this little pleasure of life without rushing through the day. There are just so many times, even with me, where I'm at work and I'm just like, oh my God, I can't wait to get home, to take a bath. Like, it's just going to be so amazing. It's going to be heaven. And then I'm in the bath that I craved all day and I'm just not present. I'm not free. I'm thinking about what I have to do tomorrow, or, oh my God, I have so much to do this weekend. And I just completely miss the moment that I've been craving all day. So I say that to just be aware and allow yourself to unravel a little in these like beautiful pleasures that we get to experience as humans. And it might feel vulnerable. Quincunx transits can be a little uneasy at first, but they can also be that kind of unusual relationship or friendship that just really, really works. Okay. And then on April 9th, Mars is going to be officially coming home into Aries. Mars rules Aries. So this planet is the planet of drive, desire, the pioneer, initiation, all of that. And it's moving into the sign that it was built for. Mars in Aries acts. It is all of those feelings that we've been having to sit with while the whole freaking sky was in Pisces, now is finding its direction. And when Mars arrives at 0 degrees Aries, it immediately starts talking to everything in there. Saturn at 5 degrees, that is disciplined action. Neptune close by, that is desire, meeting, vision. Your dream finally starting to grow some legs and move in this physical planet. And then the sun, that's the desire that you have becoming united into that new version of you. That Neptune and Saturn conjunction that we talked about at 0 degrees Aries back on February 17th, it created an entirely new timeline. And this pileup of planets is allowing that reality to actually take form. I actually got sick last week, and it was the first time in years that I've been sick. And every time I do get sick, I know I have crossed into a brand new timeline. So if anyone recently got sick or gets sick this month in April, it is a sign that you have shifted into the new timeline. So congratulations. And this is not subtle energy. When Mars walks into a room, it activates everything. I keep telling everyone around me that I know, do not let this year be another year that passes you by. It is the year of the fire horse as well. So make it the year that everything changes for you and that all your desires really truly come true. It is such a big year, guys. Since there is so much activity in Aries right now, I want everyone to look at the house that Aries falls in their chart. So if you know your rising sign, here's kind of a quick idea of what April is going to look like and what it's going to activate for you specifically. If you're an Aries rising, all of this is landing in your first house: identity, the self, the physical body, how you show up in the world. So this is going to feel really personal. Taurus rising, this is in your 12th house. So the subconscious, the hidden things, the spiritual retreat. So things are completing beneath the surface for you. And I would say really pay attention to your dreams this month. Gemini rising, this is in your 11th house. So community, friendships, your network, your hopes and dreams. And so I think the people who see your vision are coming into focus this month for you. Cancer rising, this is in your 10th house. So that is career, public, reputation, your life direction. How the world sees you is really shifting this month. It is going to be a really big month for you professionally. Leo rising, this is in your 9th house. So beliefs, philosophy, higher education, expansion, your personal truth. So something in your worldview is being rewritten. Virgo risings, this is in your 8th house of deep transformation, intimacy, shared resources, depth, psychology. So what sheds and what gets reborn this month is going to be so pivotal for you. Libra risings, this is in your 7th house of relationships, partnerships, significant one-on-one connections. So the people in your life are going to be center stage. Relationships are going to be a main focus for you this month. Scorpio risings, this is in your 6th house. So daily routines, health, how you show up on a day-to-day basis. So small, consistent actions this month carry a lot of weight for you. Sagittarius risings, this is in your 5th house of creativity, pleasure, romance, self-expression, joy. So what you create this month is going to be so huge. So just allow yourself to create and play this month. Capricorn risings, this is in your 4th house. So home, family, roots, your private foundations. Something at the base of your life is going to be completely rebuilt this month. Aquarius risings, this is in your 3rd house of communication, how you think, how you speak, your kind of local community. So your voice is really activated this month, so use it. And then Pisces rising, this is going to be in your 2nd house of money, resources, self-worth, what you build and own. So your relationship with what you own and value is shifting huge this month. I think that's all of it. That was really quick, so hope you got it all. Now let's talk about what we can do with all this energy. So interesting enough, for the past few weeks, I've had multiple people kind of come up to me and ask how I actually manifest. How do I get my desires to come to fruition? And I want to point towards some research, of course, first. So there is a psychologist at NYU named Gabriele Oettingen who has spent over decades studying human motivation and desire. So she discovered that our minds are ineffective at distinguishing between fantasy and reality. So when we spend a lot of time vividly imagining having the thing that we want, like just really living inside that vision and feeling it and existing in it, the brain starts registering it as it's already done, checked off the list. So the energy that was kind of moving us forward starts to settle. This is why so many people feel like their manifestations kind of stall. The desire is real and the vision becomes really clear, but the brain has already kind of got a taste for that reward and it quietly stops pushing us forward. Oettingen's research points out that desire is fuel for our manifestations always, but it needs a very specific and clear direction. So she developed 4 steps that she calls WOOP, W-O-O-P, and it starts exactly where it should, with the wish. So we name it, what do we actually want, we feel into it fully, we let ourselves completely feel what we want, what we desire without apology, very Mars and Aries of us, and then we imagine the outcome. What does it actually look like when this manifestation comes through? What does it feel like in our body? We get really specific, we get very sensory with it, let yourself just fully be in it. And then we name the real obstacle, and this is the part that most people skip, because we're not talking about external circumstances. We are talking about the internal obstacle, the pattern, the fear, the habit, the story we keep telling ourselves about why this hasn't happened to us yet. And then we make a plan. This is the last step. So when the obstacle shows up, and it will, this is exactly what we're going to do about it. So wish, outcome, obstacle, plan. People who use this process are significantly more likely to follow through on their desires. So when people ask me how I manifest, this is essentially the process. I want the thing fully, and I get really specific about the thing that I want. And I feel into what that feels like when it's real. I get honest about what is actually in the way of this manifestation, which is usually for me some form of comparison to another person's life, or self-doubt is a huge one for me. Just some sort of insecurity that my silly little brain has made up. And the hardest part is it's usually subconscious. So we have to be so honest and get so deep with ourselves when we're talking about this internal obstacle. And it can be really, really hard to name at first. But once I figure it out, I decide in advance what I'm going to do when that thing shows up, when that obstacle shows up. So when self-doubt shows up, I'm going to go back to my journal and review all the times something did actually work out for me. That's a big one I do. I list out all of my successful manifestations at the end of each year. And anytime I think that I'm so crazy for wanting something, I go back and I say, you know what? You thought you were crazy for that, and now you have it. Our brains love evidence. So I always try to write down the evidence and go find the evidence. I also hear all the time with manifestation that you shouldn't want something too much. And I do agree with this to a certain extent. I think that if you're gripping on to a desired outcome so tightly, it is a sign that there is an obstacle in your way of that manifestation that your mind has created. So, for example, let's say that you want a job, a very specific job, because it's going to give you just more freedom in your life. And you get really specific and you write it all down and you start to envision your life when you have that job and how it's going to feel and what you're going to do with all this time and money that you have. And then you obsess. You start to impulsively take action after action, and your energy feels really frantic and buzzy, and you're on edge every day all of a sudden, and it's just constantly just replaying in your mind. And your current life now completely sucks, right? Like there's just no other way to possibly live unless I have that job. I'm done living this way. I need this to happen right now. What can I do to make this happen, right? Just so obsessive. What does that energy sound like to you? Control. Your obstacle then is feeling like I need to control everything. Anytime I see someone in such a black or white state of mind when it comes to a desire that they want, it's usually rooted in a need to control. Because if someone was able to relax and allow themselves to still live in the moment, take aligned action from a place of peace, find gratitude in their day-to-day, and just trust that it will eventually come to fruition, they are in co-creation energy versus control. It's a very give and take energy and relationship with the universe instead of I need to do everything myself or nothing will ever work out for me. You see the difference? So yes, I do think too much desire can be just really illuminating, honestly. Why is it consuming your every thought? Why can't you have a dialogue with the universe? Why do you think that you need to have it right now in this very moment? These are all just really great questions to ask yourself if you're feeling like that story was familiar in any way. Trust me, I have totally been there over and over and over and over again, so no shame. Desire, I think, is such a beautiful energy to work with, but allow it to serve only a portion of your human experience. I don't think we should allow, honestly, any emotion to completely consume us ever. I am a Pisces, and so everything used to feel so big for me. Like it felt like emotions just had either an on or off switch. So if I was angry, I was screaming at the top of my lungs at everyone. And if I was sad, I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't eat. I couldn't do anything. And if I really wanted something, oh my God, was I obsessed. Like couldn't think of anything else. And I think something that's really helped me is realizing how quickly things can change when I start co-creating with energy instead of forcing it into my own narrow narrative that I have. This feeling will pass. This desire, honestly, will probably change into something more rich and complex and beautiful as the days progress. And this manifestation that I really, really want will eventually actualize. Like, there's just no need to force or control or be impulsive about anything. And I'm not sure if I'm making sense or rambling, but I guess what I'm trying to say is desire all you want. Like, just dream so big, so big, and then actually live. Take aligned action when it feels calm. Look at your current life and truly fall in love with it right here, right now, in this moment. Get curious about your subconscious and your patterns and your habits and your thoughts, and heal yourself, heal them, heal those obstacles, and forgive yourself, and speak to your God, whoever that is, whatever that may be. Ask for help, ask for strength, ask for peace, and I think most importantly, give endless gratitude for getting another day, another breath. What a spiral dance this life is, being human. It is just so beautifully painful. Okay, enough rambling. Let's get to the ritual. You're going to need a candle and something to write with and a piece of paper. That's it. And just a quiet moment anytime this week. It doesn't have to be on any specific day. And it won't take long. Honestly, I think this will be like 10 minutes at max. So we're going to light our candle. I chose red for Aries season, desire, courage, passion. It doesn't have to be red. You can choose any color that you want, any color that you have. And the first part of this ritual is going to be for Pisces. It's going to be for our subconscious. We have had so many planets in Pisces, and I know a lot of us have probably felt some subconscious thoughts and patterns surface over the last 2 months. So I want you to write at the top of your page, what have I been truly desiring or wanting that I haven't fully acknowledged or fully allowed myself to want? So that's our first step. And I want you to just write. I want you to just kind of have a little brain dump. Don't edit. Don't make it make sense. Don't worry whether it's realistic or appropriate or what anyone else is going to think. No one's going to see it. The Egyptians treated desire as sacred, right? So we are not apologizing for anything that comes out on this piece of paper. And I want you to keep writing until something surprises you, because that is usually the real and true desire. Okay? Part 2, we're going to name it. So we're going to read back what we wrote out loud if you can, because I want this desire to change the energy in the room. It becomes real when we say it out loud, and it exists outside of us when we say it out loud. This is the very Lilith part, right? She chooses exile over suppression. So we're choosing to say it out loud instead of keeping it quiet. We're going to say it and we're going to own it. So part 3, we're going to direct it. Now we're going to use Oettingen's 4-step process, the WOOP. This is where our desire starts to have direction and starts to become our physical reality. So first we're going to do the W, the desire that we just named out loud. We're going to write it down. Then we're going to write the outcome. So what does your life actually look like when you have this wish, this desire? What does it feel like? Get really sensory, get really specific. Let yourself fully be in that moment. Take your time with that. And then we're going to write the obstacle. This is the internal one that I was talking about. What is the story, the fear, the pattern that has been standing between you and this manifestation? Get very honest here, and it might take some time to really truly understand what you're blocking, because it's so subconscious. So you got to be so honest, and this might take a few hours, a few days, but it will surface if you give it time. And then we're going to write down the plan. So when this obstacle shows up, and it will, what are we going to do about it? Make it specific, make it something that you can actually do in that moment. So we have wish, outcome, obstacle, plan. And that's it. That's all we're going to do. We're going to sit with the energy with our candle. Just like the Egyptians knew, we treat our desire as sacred. Enough to give it a name, enough for it to move forward. Mars is in Aries. The desire has direction now. Don't let April pass you by without taking some sort of action towards your desires. All of the planets are direct, and we have so much fire that is allowing us to really do something about these desires. Next week we have a transit happening every single day, and it is the last week of Aries season, so it's going to be a busy one. I want us to be so prepared, so inspired, so in touch with our desires, allowing ourselves to feel pleasure. I love this time of year. I love Aries season, and it's just going to be so beautiful. So let's just really fully take advantage of it. All right, I'll see you guys next week. Take care.